Taurus, pause here, because August 15th carries an unusual warning. Only 3 remain before 18th. While something powerful appears ready to break through routine, storm energy may sound frightening, yet its meaning perhaps reaches far beyond trouble. Sudden messages, hidden truths, emotional releases, unexpected opportunities, concluding decisions might arrive when least expected. What's been building quietly around life should soon demand attention, especially involving love, money, trust, personal choices, family, work, confidence, friendships, visions, direction. Notice anything strangely timed, repeated thoughts, vivid dreams, tense conversations, surprising silence, unfamiliar feelings, plus an inner signal will become important clues. This reading concerns preparation, never panic. Uncovering what countdown brings starts with telling me the watching location today. Then write your sign below if prepared for whatever arrives. Stay close, since one last detail can transform how these next moments appear. Keep an open heart, breath, curious mind, and courage nearby. Meaningful shift awaits during uncertainty. Meaningful shift awaits during uncertainty. And Taurus, the first clues may already be closer than you think. Today, August 15th, isn't asking you to fear every strange moment. Instead, notice what feels different from your usual rhythm. A serious conversation, message after silence, or an unexpected opportunity can carry more meaning than expected. Some changes begin quietly. You might wake with a thought that refuses to leave, remember someone from your past, or feel pulled toward a choice you've delayed. None of these moments proves a prediction. Still, when unusual details gather together, they can reveal where your attention needs to go. Perhaps your emotions have been stronger lately. One minute you're calm, and the next you're questioning a relationship, financial decision, or promise someone made. That tension doesn't necessarily mean something bad is coming. Sometimes discomfort appears because you've outgrown an old pattern. Your inner world notices change before your outside life catches up. Watch your conversations especially closely over these next 3 days. Words may carry information that wasn't obvious before. Someone could speak more honestly than usual. Another person might admit something they've kept hidden. A simple question could open a larger discussion. Even silence can tell you something when you've been waiting for an answer. Money may deserve careful attention. A delayed payment, unexpected expense, new offer, or sudden idea could make you reconsider your plans. Don't let excitement push you into a rushed decision. This warning isn't meant to make you suspicious. Slow down long enough to recognize what truly deserves your energy. Relationships carry another important signal, Taurus. You may notice a change in someone's behavior before they explain it. Perhaps a familiar person becomes distant, unusually warm, or eager to reconnect. Rather than deciding immediately what their actions mean, watch the pattern. One moment can confuse you, while repeated behavior speaks clearly. There could also be a situation you've been carrying because you hoped it would resolve itself. Maybe you've waited for an apology, expected someone to change, or kept giving another chance because walking away felt harder than staying. The approaching storm may bring that unfinished matter back into view. This time, you may see it through different eyes. Your dreams and private thoughts deserve attention too. During emotional pressure, the mind often brings old memories forward. You could dream about a person, place, or decision from years ago. Don't assume every dream predicts an event. Instead, ask what feeling remains after you wake. That emotion may point towards something your heart hasn't fully processed. Around August 16th, the energy may feel more noticeable. A small event could become the spark that makes everything suddenly make sense. Maybe a phone rings at an unusual time. Maybe a person says exactly what you've needed to hear. Perhaps you notice information that had been sitting in front of you. The important part isn't how dramatic the event looks. It's how deeply it affects your understanding. Then August 17th may bring another layer. You could feel ready to make a decision that once seemed impossible. A boundary might become easier to set. A truth could become harder to ignore. Something that once held emotional power over you may begin losing its grip. That's why the storm imagery matters. A storm doesn't simply create noise, it clears the air afterward. Taurus, there is another clue worth noticing: repeated timing. When the same name, topic, number, place, or conversation keeps appearing, your attention naturally becomes sharper. You don't need to treat every coincidence as a supernatural message. Use repetition as a reason to pause. Ask yourself why this subject keeps returning when you've been trying to move forward. Your body can offer clues as well. You may notice restlessness before an important conversation, sudden calm after a difficult choice, or relief when considering a new direction. These feelings aren't guarantees about the future, but they can help you understand your emotional state. Listen without letting fear make every sensation seem dangerous. For some Taurus viewers, the biggest sign may involve something that stops happening. A person who always contacted you may go quiet. A routine opportunity may disappear. A familiar plan may suddenly change. At first, that absence could feel like rejection or loss. Yet sometimes an empty space allows something healthier to enter. Others may experience the opposite. A door that seemed permanently closed could open again. Someone might reach out after months apart. An employer could offer a different role. A financial idea might finally become practical. Even then, remember the central message. Don't chase the first exciting possibility simply because it arrives during an emotional period. Look for stability beneath excitement. There is a reason this 3-day window matters. A deadline creates pressure, and pressure reveals priorities. When time feels limited, people stop pretending everything can remain unchanged. Taurus, you may discover one decision waiting beneath many smaller decisions. Once recognized, confusion may begin to settle. Think about what you've repeatedly postponed. Is there a conversation you need to have? Is there a boundary you've feared establishing? Could an old attachment be preventing you from enjoying the present? Your answer doesn't need to be perfect today. Awareness can become the first movement toward change. By tonight, pay attention to what keeps returning to your mind. Notice who makes you feel peaceful and who leaves you exhausted. Remember which opportunities create quiet confidence. Those distinctions can matter more than predictions. The coming storm may not announce itself with thunder. It may arrive as a realization that changes everything. And Taurus, if something feels like it's ending without knowing what comes next, don't rush to fill the empty space. Let yourself observe. Let the truth become clear. Sometimes transformation begins when you stop forcing an answer. The next part goes deeper, because a hidden warning may be easier to miss. It involves something you've noticed before. When that clue appears again, your response could determine whether these days repeat the past or begin something different. When that clue appears again, your response could determine whether these days repeat the past or begin something different. Taurus, this is where the message becomes more personal. The hidden warning may not look like a warning at all. It could arrive as a familiar situation wearing a different face. Someone may say something you've heard before. A promise may sound comforting, yet something inside you feels uncertain. An opportunity may look attractive, while another part of you remembers what happened the last time you ignored your instincts. Before you react, take a breath. The point isn't to become afraid of people or suspicious of every event. Your task is simply to notice patterns. Patterns are often louder than isolated moments. Several unexplained silences can mean something. One disagreement happens in every relationship. Constant confusion deserves attention. Think about the situation that immediately came to mind while hearing those words. Maybe you already know exactly what it is. Perhaps there's a person whose name keeps appearing in your thoughts. It could be an old relationship, family issue, workplace tension, or a money matter you've avoided discussing. Whatever came up first deserves a closer look, because your mind often reaches for unfinished business before it reaches for random ideas. Here's the part many Taurus viewers may need to hear. You don't have to keep proving your loyalty by accepting discomfort. Being patient doesn't mean ignoring disrespect. Being forgiving doesn't mean reopening every door. Loving someone doesn't require you to abandon your own peace. Over the next 3 days, watch for moments that test this boundary. Someone could return with an apology. Another person might suddenly become interested in rebuilding contact. You may receive a message that brings back emotions you thought were gone. Before answering, ask one simple question. Has anything truly changed? Or has only the timing changed? That question can protect you from repeating an old cycle. Words can sound beautiful when emotions are strong. Real change usually shows itself through consistent actions. If someone says they care, notice whether their behavior supports those words. If an opportunity promises security, look at the details. If a friend asks for another chance, consider whether the relationship has become healthier. Something else may happen during this period. Person could reveal more than they intended. A casual comment might expose hidden feeling. A joke could carry a serious truth. A disagreement might finally bring an unspoken issue into the open. Don't focus only on the words. Listen carefully to what the conversation reveals about priorities, honesty, and respect. This is where the emotional storm begins to make sense. The storm isn't necessarily an outside disaster arriving to destroy your plans. It may be the pressure created when reality becomes impossible to ignore. For months, perhaps you've tried to keep everything calm. You've adjusted, waited, forgiven, and stayed quiet. Now the part of you that wants truth may become louder. You might even feel guilty for wanting something different. Taurus energy often values loyalty, stability, and security. Those qualities can be beautiful, but they can also make change feel dangerous. Staying familiar isn't always the same as staying safe. Sometimes the safest choice is the one that finally gives you room to breathe. Pay attention to your strongest emotional reactions. Anger can point toward a boundary that has been crossed. Sadness can reveal something you're finally ready to release. Relief can show you where your heart feels lighter. Excitement may signal possibility, but it still needs wisdom beside it. No emotion needs to control you. Each one can offer information. By August 16th, you may notice one subject becoming impossible to avoid. Perhaps conversation keeps getting delayed. Maybe financial pressure forces a choice. Someone could ask a direct question that you aren't prepared to answer. Instead of seeing this as punishment, consider it an invitation to become honest with yourself. Then, as August 17th approaches, the pressure may reach its highest point. You could feel ready to make a decision that once seemed impossible. A boundary might become easier to set. A truth could become harder to ignore. Something that once held emotional power over you may begin losing its grip. That's why the storm imagery matters. A storm doesn't simply create noise, it clears the air afterward. Taurus, remember what was said earlier about the storm clearing the air? You aren't being asked to predict every detail. You're being asked to recognize what no longer feels right. That's a much more useful form of awareness. If you've been waiting for someone else to make the first move, ask whether waiting has already cost you peace. If you've been hoping for a sign, consider whether the repeated pattern itself has become the sign. If you've been afraid of starting over, remember that starting over doesn't erase everything you've learned. There may also be a beautiful surprise hidden inside this warning. Once an old pressure breaks, energy becomes available for something new. You may have more confidence to pursue work, reconnect with supportive people, improve your finances, or finally choose yourself without explaining every decision. So here's your re-engagement moment, Taurus. Think about the one situation you've been avoiding and silently name it right now. Don't type the whole story if you don't want to. Then ask yourself whether you're afraid because something is wrong or because something is changing. A fear of danger tells you to protect yourself. Those feelings can look almost identical, yet they lead to completely different choices. Your job over these 3 days is to learn which one you're experiencing. Perhaps the hidden warning isn't about something coming toward you. Maybe it's about something you keep carrying with you, an old belief, painful memory, unfinished relationship, or habit could be taking up space that belongs to your future. The coming storm may simply make that weight impossible to ignore. That is where the deepest part of this reading begins. Taurus, the storm may be carrying a message you didn't expect. What feels like a disruption could become the opening you've been waiting for. Sometimes life creates pressure because a situation has reached its limit. The old way can't continue, but the new way hasn't fully appeared yet. That space can feel frightening. It can also be where your greatest change begins. Imagine standing inside a room you've known for years. Everything feels familiar, yet the air has become heavy. You keep adjusting the windows, moving things around, and telling yourself that tomorrow will feel better. Then suddenly, door opens that you didn't notice before. The room hasn't changed because someone rescued you. It changed because you finally saw another way out. The biggest revelation isn't that something terrible is coming. It's that something false, outdated, or emotionally exhausting may finally lose its power over you. A truth could surface, and although that truth may sting at first, it can also give you freedom. You may realize that you've been waiting for permission to choose yourself. For some Taurus viewers, this could involve love. You may discover that someone isn't able to offer what you've been hoping for. That realization could hurt, especially if you've invested months or years into the connection. Yet the same truth can stop you from spending another year hoping for a different version of the same person. Your heart deserves clarity, not endless guessing. Another Taurus may experience the opposite. Someone who genuinely cares could finally speak honestly. A person may admit that they've been afraid, confused, or uncertain. This doesn't mean you should immediately return to an old relationship. Instead, listen carefully. Let actions over time show whether the new conversation has real substance. Money can also become part of this turning point. A financial situation may look stressful before improving. Perhaps an expense forces you to rethink your budget. Maybe an opportunity arrives after a period of waiting. You could even recognize that a path you've been chasing isn't giving you the security you expected. That realization may redirect you towards something more stable. A door closing can feel like rejection when you're standing on the wrong side of it. Later, you may understand that the closure protected you from walking farther down a road that wasn't meant for you. Taurus, this is why the next 3 days shouldn't be judged only by what disappears. Watch what becomes possible because something else is finally released. You may notice your confidence changing. A conversation that once terrified you might suddenly feel manageable. A decision you've postponed could become simple. You might wake up and realize that you're no longer waiting for someone else's approval. That moment could be quiet, but don't underestimate it. Inner certainty often arrives without dramatic music or obvious signs. There is another layer here, and it's important. The storm may expose who genuinely supports you during calm periods. Almost anyone can appear dependable. Pressure reveals character. Someone might stand beside you when things become difficult, while another person may disappear. Don't chase the person who walks away. Pay attention to the one who stays without being asked. This could also reveal something about your own strength. Maybe you've underestimated how much you've survived. Think about the problems you once believed would break you. You're still here. You've learned. You've changed. You've become harder to fool and more capable of recognizing what peace feels like. Between August 15th and 18th, don't measure your progress by how comfortable everything feels. Measure it by how honest you're becoming. If a truth hurts, let it teach you instead of defining you. If someone disappoints you, let the experience sharpen your boundaries instead of closing your heart. If an opportunity appears, examine it with both hope and common sense. Your future doesn't need blind faith, it needs clear eyes. There's a reason this message began with only 3 days left. A countdown makes you pay attention. It tells you that waiting forever isn't an option. Something needs to move. Maybe the movement comes from another person. Maybe circumstances change around you. Yet the most powerful movement may come from inside. That decision doesn't have to be angry. It doesn't require revenge, confrontation, or dramatic exits. Sometimes strength sounds like a quiet no. Sometimes healing looks like not replying immediately. Sometimes growth means choosing rest instead of explaining yourself again. Taurus, if you've been carrying guilt over a choice you made in the past, release some of that weight. You made decisions with the knowledge and emotions you had at that time. Today, you have more information. You're allowed to choose differently. A surprising opportunity may appear after this emotional clearing. It could involve work, money, travel, learning, friendship, or a completely new direction. Don't expect it to arrive wearing a bright sign that says this is your future. Real opportunities often look ordinary at first. They become important because you recognize their value and act with intention. For Taurus, that clearing could create space for a relationship that feels mutual, finances that feel more organized, work that feels more meaningful, or simply a mind that finally becomes quiet. The exact form will differ for every person, but the emotional movement is similar. Less confusion, stronger boundaries, greater self-trust before this part ends. Remember the question from earlier. Are you afraid because something is wrong or because something is changing? Over the next few days, that question may become surprisingly easy to answer. Something may shake your routine. Something may challenge your expectations. Something may even make you cry. But don't assume tears mean defeat. Sometimes tears are what happens when the heart finally stops pretending that everything is fine. Taurus, you're not being asked to control the storm. You're being asked to walk through it with awareness. And when the clouds begin to separate, you may finally understand why this moment had to happen. Because the greatest surprise may not be what the storm takes away. It may be what the storm finally makes room for. It may be what the storm finally makes room for. Taurus, now let's look at the 3 days ahead, because the timing matters. August 15th is the moment to observe. August 16th may bring movement. August 17th can bring a stronger realization, while the energy around August 18th may reveal why everything felt so intense. Think of these days as a process, not a guarantee that one dramatic event must happen. Today, watch your reactions. Something small could bother you more than expected. A message might arrive at an unusual time. Someone could mention a subject you've been trying to forget. You may also notice yourself feeling unusually calm about something that once caused stress. That calm can be just as important as tension. It may show that you've already started letting go. Tonight, pay attention to conversations. Don't force anything, and don't go searching for hidden meanings in every sentence. Simply listen. If someone speaks honestly, let them finish. If someone avoids an important subject, notice that too. Your goal isn't to judge. You're learning which situations deserve your attention and which ones don't. On August 16th, movement may become easier to notice. A plan could change suddenly. An invitation may appear. A delayed answer could finally arrive. You might hear from someone you haven't heard from in a while. For another Taurus, the change may be completely internal. You could wake up knowing that you're ready to stop waiting. If love has been on your mind, this period may bring emotional clarity. Someone could show stronger interest, or a confusing connection may finally reveal its limits. Don't measure love by dramatic words alone. Look for consistency. Does this person respect your time? Do they listen? Do their actions match what they promise? Those details matter more than a temporary rush of emotion. If you're already in a relationship, an honest conversation could become important. Maybe you've been keeping quiet to avoid conflict. Perhaps you've wanted more support but didn't know how to ask. Use this window to speak clearly rather than expecting someone to read your mind. A calm conversation can prevent a small problem from becoming a larger one. For single Taurus viewers, don't assume the storm means heartbreak. It could actually create space for a new connection. Someone unexpected may catch your attention. You might meet through work, friends, travel, or an ordinary daily activity. The important sign isn't instant intensity. It's the feeling that conversation becomes easier instead of more confusing. Money may bring another form of movement. You could receive news about a payment, job, project, sale, or opportunity. You may also realize that a spending habit needs to change. If something looks too good to be true, take your time. Career matters can shift as well. A supervisor might offer new responsibility. A colleague could leave, creating an opening. You may hear about a position that wasn't available before. Don't immediately decide that every new option is your destiny. Compare the opportunity with your actual goals. Ask whether it gives you growth, stability, learning, or a better quality of life. Family matters deserve attention too. Someone close may need your support, or you may finally express something you've kept inside. Try not to carry everyone else's emotions as though they're your responsibility. There may be one moment when everything seems to happen at once. A message, conversation, decision, an unexpected piece of information could arrive close together. If that happens, don't panic. Give yourself time before making a major choice. You don't have to answer every question immediately. By August 17th, you may feel a stronger pull toward one direction. This is where the earlier signs begin connecting. Something that seemed unrelated may suddenly make sense. You may understand why a certain person entered your life, why a previous plan failed, or why you've felt restless for so long. The storm may also reveal what you've been protecting. Perhaps you've protected a relationship because you feared loneliness. Maybe you've protected a job because you feared starting again. You could have protected an old dream because admitting it no longer fit your life felt painful. Ask yourself whether you're protecting something because it still matters or because you're afraid to release it. That's a powerful distinction. Taurus, you don't need to destroy your past to move forward. You can appreciate what something taught you while choosing a different future. You can remember someone without returning to them. You can be grateful for a job without staying there forever. You can forgive yourself without pretending nothing happened. If a surprising opportunity arrives, take a closer look. It may not feel perfect. In fact, it might feel unfamiliar. And unfamiliar things can trigger doubt. Give yourself permission to explore without promising anything. Ask questions, gather facts, then decide from a place of confidence rather than pressure. Around the 18th, the emotional weather may begin to settle. What felt confusing could become clearer. A person may show their true position. A decision may no longer feel impossible. You might finally understand that the storm wasn't sent to punish you. It was simply exposing what needed your attention. And there's something else you should remember. Not every Taurus will experience the same event. One person may receive good news about money. Another may have an emotional conversation. Someone else may decide to leave an unhealthy pattern. Treat the message as guidance, not promise. If the next 3 days bring uncertainty, don't abandon yourself. If they bring good news, stay grounded. If they bring an ending, allow yourself to grieve without believing your story is over. If they bring a new beginning, don't let old fear convince you that you don't deserve it. The storm is moving through Taurus. The question now isn't whether you can control every cloud. It's whether you'll recognize the opening when the sky begins to clear. Because that opening may lead directly to the most important choice you've faced in a long time. Because that opening may lead directly to the most important choice you've faced in a long time. Taurus, that choice may involve person, truth, or an opportunity that has been waiting beneath the surface. What happens next could seem sudden, but the story behind it probably isn't sudden at all. Something has been developing quietly while you've been trying to keep life steady. The coming days may simply bring enough pressure for the hidden situation to finally show itself. One possibility involves someone from your past. You may hear from a person you thought had disappeared from your life. Their message could arrive when you're finally feeling peaceful again. Maybe they'll ask how you've been, mention an old memory, or act as though no time has passed. That moment could stir feelings you believed were finished. Before you open that emotional door, remember everything you've learned. Missing someone doesn't automatically mean you need them back. Nostalgia can make the past look softer than it really was. A familiar voice can bring comfort while also reopening an old wound. Give yourself enough space to separate genuine change from temporary emotion. Another possibility involves someone already around you. Their behavior may become clearer during this period. You could discover that they've been quietly supporting you, even when they didn't know how to express it. A friend, relative, coworker, or partner may reveal a side of themselves that changes your understanding of the relationship. That revelation doesn't have to be negative. Sometimes the storm exposes kindness too. When life becomes uncertain, genuine people often become easier to recognize. Their presence feels steady. Their words don't leave you guessing. They don't make you earn basic respect. If someone has consistently shown up for you, don't overlook that simply because you're searching for dramatic signs. Money could create another turning point. An unexpected offer might appear, but the deeper message may involve your attitude towards security. Perhaps you've been afraid to ask for more. Maybe you've accepted less because it felt safer. The coming shift could challenge that mindset. Consider what you believe you deserve. If you constantly expect disappointment, you may overlook possibilities because they feel unfamiliar. If you assume every opportunity contains a hidden problem, you may protect yourself so strongly that nothing new can enter. Wisdom isn't the same as fear. You can stay careful while remaining open. A career situation could also reveal an important truth. Maybe your current work has become emotionally exhausting. Perhaps you've stayed because the paycheck feels dependable, even though your motivation has disappeared. A conversation, new responsibility, or unexpected opening might force you to admit that your priorities have changed. Don't mistake this realization for failure. People grow, goals change. What suited you years ago may no longer fit the person you've become. Taurus, stability matters to you, but stability without fulfillment can eventually feel like a cage. There may be another hidden truth involving family. Someone could finally tell you something they've been holding inside. An older disagreement may return for discussion. You might discover that another person's behavior was influenced by fear, insecurity, or circumstances you didn't understand. Listen without immediately taking responsibility for everything. Compassion doesn't require you to carry another person's problems. You can understand someone and still maintain boundaries. You can love your family while refusing to repeat unhealthy patterns. Perhaps the biggest surprise will involve yourself. For a long time, you may have believed that you needed a certain person, place, job, or situation to feel complete. Then something changes, and suddenly you realize you can stand without it. That realization can be emotional because it changes the story you've been telling yourself. You may look back and wonder why you tolerated certain things for so long. Be gentle with that version of yourself. They were doing the best they could with the information they had. Growth often makes the past look obvious, but it wasn't obvious while you were living it. During the final stretch of this 3-day window, watch for a moment of emotional clarity. It could happen during a conversation, while driving, before sleep, or even during an ordinary task. Suddenly, a thought may land with unusual certainty. I know what I need to do. That sentence matters. You don't have to explain the decision to everyone. You don't need universal approval. Some choices become stronger when they are made quietly. If your heart knows a chapter is ending, let it end with dignity. If you know something deserves another chance, approach it with clearer boundaries than before. The person behind the storm may therefore be you. Not the frightened version of you who keeps asking what could go wrong, but the stronger version who asks what could finally go right. That shift in perspective can change everything. Maybe you've spent too much time preparing for disappointment. Maybe you've expected people to leave opportunities to fail or plans to collapse. Protecting yourself from every possible loss can also prevent you from fully experiencing joy. Taurus, the coming energy asks for balance. Don't throw caution away, but don't let caution make every door look dangerous. You can investigate without assuming the worst. You can love without losing yourself. You can hope without becoming careless. Something may happen that gives you proof of this new mindset. A person may respect a boundary they once ignored. A financial opportunity may come with clear terms. A work situation may improve because you finally spoke honestly. A relationship may become healthier because both people stop pretending everything is fine. When that happens, notice the difference between excitement and peace. Excitement rises quickly. Peace settles slowly. The right opportunity may not make your heart race. It may simply make you breathe easier. That feeling could be one of your strongest clues. As August 18th approaches, the storm may begin losing its emotional force. What remains will be the truth. You'll know more about who belongs beside you, what deserves your energy, and which direction no longer fits. Nothing about this message means you should expect disaster. Instead, consider it an invitation to pay attention. The strongest transformation may happen because you're finally willing to see something clearly. Taurus, the person truth, or opportunity behind this storm, may not arrive to take your peace away. It may arrive to show you where your peace has been waiting all along. And once you understand that, the final question becomes much simpler. What will you choose when the storm finally passes?